everybody. Today we are going to be doing some Ravens Druid finally. It actually is turning out to work out much better than I was really even anticipating. Like, I knew it was going to be decent, but it actually is pretty good. I'm doing a T75 here. I do have on a couple of mythic uniques, so you do have to keep that in mind. So you're not going to be able to just jump into T5, but honestly, no build is. So just keep that in mind whenever you're, come in with tempered expectations, because it's going to be a much slower progression and build-up curve to good gear in Vessel of Hatred. But there's a couple of cool things going for this build, and why it's doing so much more damage than what it was doing last season. We had a bunch of slots open up. We got some pretty big buffs because of the key passive. Also, the companion druid tempering is absolutely bonkers busted. Let's see here. Go ahead, get this down. You can see I'm doing like 30 million damage, 7 million here, 12 million, 13. Once I get actually all my buffs up, it actually does quite a bit more. Like you can see, I'm about to get my Petrify from my rune words, as well as I also just got my buff from my, so 48 million right there on an overpower crit, which is considerably better, because you have to remember, like, there was a stat squish that happened, right? And I was only doing like, a few million maybe per tick on the current live servers with Ravens. So yeah, it's a bit interesting. And it also has 74 million right there. I think that was the god combo though, where my Petrify and my Warcry and everything went off. So and also the rune word setup I currently have on this is not the rune word setup I have on this is not I don't know if it's 100% going to be what I'm going to run yet, but the one that does, like, whenever you evoke another power from another rune word, it like generates things, doesn't work. So I'm not particularly running that one yet, because I haven't been able to get it to work. So yeah, but keep in mind, Ravens does crit. That's why I'm using Petrify. You can see it did like an overpower crit and stuff like that. I actually was under the impression that it would work with Creeping Death, and I honestly think on the live servers it was, but now it doesn't seem to be. It seems to be working more like with crit in a more normalized build, yeah. And by the way, guys, doing a T75 in Vessel of Hatred is massive. It's huge, because you have to remember the maximum is only like, I don't know, 200 now. So this is like doing a T130 or 140, like somewhere in that area on like the current live servers. So that's pretty damn strong when you think about compared to what it was before. Now, is it going to be the fastest build? I don't know, right? There's going to be different variations of this build that you can run. This right here is going to be kind of like the highest damage push setup you can do, but it moves a little bit slow. It probably gets a little bit less resets, but it just has so many more damage multipliers on it because you run things like Air of Perdition. But you lose things like, like I'm not running Storm's Companion in this build. Right, and as you can see, even though I'm not running it, I'm actually still getting a decent amount of resets. And this is something I've been saying for a while, though. I know some people disagree with me, but I mean, just from experience of playing Companion Druid, it's why I run Claw. Claw by far has procced pack leader for me, even in single target situations. Because you have to remember, guys, that I was playing builds that was getting probably perma resets long before the changes to Storm's Companion came out. That was more like icing on a cake. There was still ways to do it, And notice how everything's stunned as well. That's the new Ravens aspect working for us right there. Speaking of which, oh no, am I gonna die? No, I'm not. Too good. Oh no, I'm not. What do we got here? Hold on. Channeling Shrine. Ooh, that's really good actually. Channeling Shrines are gonna be super good. And I actually don't have this 100% optimized, but I am gonna show you guys at the end of this what I'm doing. Just so you can see what my current setup is. I'll have to I'm a little time crunched, so I can't make like a full-on build guide for it and, test out every little detail, because I still need to test out Poison Creeper, and I have like some, real-life responsibilities I got to take care of. So I'm trying to make sure I at least test these things and give you guys like a, hey, this isn't 100% optimized, but look at what it can do already kind of thing, It's like, I'm sitting here doing a T75, like, that's wild. I really don't believe most builds are going to be able to do T75s like super easy like this. I think only the better builds. Like I think Ravens, in my opinion, is probably going to be like, it's not S tier. I don't think it's that broken, but I think it's going to be like an A tier build if you were to put it on a tier list. It's going to be very strong. I do think that Wolf Companion Druid is stronger still. I think Companion Druid is going to be like higher up. Like if I was to make like a tier list of all the companion skills right now, with what I have tested out, I currently think Wolves is the highest currently. Poison Creeper I still have yet to test, but I'm suspecting it's going to perform worse than Ravens. And I don't think it's going to perform better. I think best case scenario it'll perform the same. So I think it would be like, you know, Wolves is just, it's kind of in a whole nother league in terms of its single target damage. Like I've done like T85s and up with Companion Druid already. So, you know, and I posted that video of doing like a 2-man 95 with the Lightning Spear Sork. So it's like it's capable of doing some pretty cool stuff. Now, I don't know if it'll be able to do if that one will be able to do a tier 100, but in terms of how good it is relative to the other ones, yes, Wolves is definitely still going to be the best, but Ravens is still like is going to probably be second, and then then Poison Creeper would be third. So, and you can see here, look at that, look at all that damage. Okay, and you would think, oh hey, but you know, and this is what I thought was like, oh, how are you going to do on the boss, right? Well, let me show you. Okay. I'm actually going to hold Cataclysm. There's actually a reason for that. Okay, hold on. I need to wait. And no, look at how much damage I'm doing. Not even. Hold on. I'm timing my rune words, and here we go. All right, let's go. Come on. Yeah, and you can see there, you can do like a nice chunk of damage with it, but, and we keep going. Like, this is still going pretty decent when you, like, all things considered, you know. Let's go. And we keep on going. And once we hit the next stagger, I was trying to just time everything, but honestly, you really don't have to do that. You can just do this and it'll still kill it, like, just fine. The main thing is really just getting Cataclysm up, I feel. Okay. Now, if I had on Storm's Companion, I would be getting more resets, but, like, this is still, like, you wouldn't... Most people would not expect it to, like, be this decent, I guess you would say. And when you aren't getting as many resets. If I had on Storm's Companion, I'd be resetting, like, every second, which would obviously drastically increase the boss killing on it. So it'll be interesting to see what happens, and if there's like a boss killer meta or something like that, I think, who knows, maybe I could make a boss killing Ravens build where, like, you know, your whole thing isn't about staying alive, it's just about making it to the boss type thing or something like that. Okay, so let's go ahead and let's take a look at the gear here. So we have Air of Perdition. This gives us a 60% damage buff. It says you can slaughter enemies to briefly steal Lilith's favor from your nearby allies. I'm not 100% certain what that means, but I'm expecting that if you have maybe like a mercenary equipped, this will be even better, and maybe you could steal another 60% from your mercenary. It gives us crit chance, it gives us lucky hit chance. So you can see here I'm at like 66% lucky hit coefficient. So I'm getting I don't know, about 15% of that 25% pack leader bonus, which is pretty nice. Tyrael's Might is pretty solid. To get into World Tier 4 is actually kind of difficult because you get minus 1,000 to your armor, and then you also get minus 100% to your resistances. So it makes it to where, like, if you're a build that's really heavy on uniques or something, you really struggle to hit the... oh, ow, damn, I just busted the shit out of my hand. You really struggle to get to those, like, defense numbers, right? But if you run Tyrael's Might, it makes it really easy because it'll just kind of auto-cap you again once you know, just masterwork it, and then you can throw in a bunch of armors of 240 to get there, so you can see up at 955, and then you can run an incense, or you can run, you know, the elixir of iron barbs to make up the last 50. I think that incense, it gives you plus 200 armor, is actually pretty goated. It's what I use the majority of the time, along with an elixir of fortitude, just to keep up my health. Yeah, so 5,800% crit damage. I'll show you why I have so much crit damage in a second. So we have Moonrage aspect after that. Because of the change here, we got this key passive it shows one with nature. It gives us the passive effect of ravens, wolves, and poison creeper. That's why my wolves are out, even though they're not on the bar, because when you get that passive effect, that means we still get the buff from shepherd's aspect. So it gives us the flexibility to be able to change our build around and to do various and different things, which is super duper awesome. So you can see attack speed, critical strike chance, crit damage, Raven's active size, critical strike damage again, because we are really a crit build. You do still crit whenever you're doing Ravens, so pretty solid. Pretty solid there. So that's 78% damage, though, by running Moonrage aspect when you get all of those out. Then we have the Spirits Bond aspect, and I'm still going to test that a little bit to see how necessary it is to run this. You could potentially maybe run something else, but I don't know. I feel like it's just really, really good to run still. But yeah, so we have Spirit Bond aspect just to make sure our wolves don't die so we can maintain our Shepherd's aspect. And it's also a 20% damage increase, so it's like, what else are we going to run, you know? Like Aspect of Might, that gives us a 20% damage buff or reduction. It's like, why not just take this and also get the added benefit of the companions not dying, right? Wild Heart Hunger gives us a 50% multiplicative damage buff. It also gives us Heightened Senses, which gives us like another, I think it ends up giving us like another 30% damage reduction and 30% movement speed or something like that whenever all is said and done and you have like an actual Ancestral 800 masterworked version of Heightened Senses, so that's pretty solid. It also gives us cold resistance, and having cold resistance on the unique is really good because it helps us actually hit these even if we don't have Ethereal's Might, which makes it kind of even better, right? As it's a unique that you don't lose defensive stats on while also simultaneously gaining a ton of damage. On the weapon, this is going to be the next reason why Ravens is doing so much damage. Notice this, they took the companion damage tempers and they changed them into a weapon temper. So now we have a chance for Ravens to deal double damage. And this is why I said, if you watch my State of the Companion Druid video, that if you want to know what is dealing like the most damage when it comes to companions, it's really going to be whichever one you choose the temper for. This is going to be a very big deciding factor in terms of your build. That's why I don't really think it's possible to do like a Zoo Druid build anymore. I really just think it's inefficient. I think it's better to just focus on one of the skills and just choose. Do you want to do a Ravens build, a Poison Creeper build, or do you want to do a Wolves build? And they just made a new mythic item that I'm going to be testing out with the Poison Creeper build. So yeah, be on the lookout for that. I have 2 more builds I'm actually going to be testing before this PTR is over. But yeah, so willpower, crit damage, you know, chance for Ravens, and make sure you masterwork the crap out of that Ravens to get double damage. And then 20, and then put Shepherd's Aspect on this. You get 312% damage even without your Moonrage on, and then it goes up to like 400% when Moonrage is out total. So it kind of beats out everything. Then we have Stormcrow's aspect. So Ravens now deal lightning damage, which is increased by 75%. Ravens active deals its full damage in half the time, which is another reason why you're seeing the numbers get so much bigger. It's essentially like you got a double and then you got another double, right? So you're like getting double almost there. And so Raven's damage is just kind of went way up there. We got Ranks to Envenom, Call of the Wild. Now, you can go quick shift, but I'm actually kind of thinking that the actual play here is right now we have to take this specifically so we can get armor. In another world, we could potentially get armor on here and get Storm's Companion, so we have even more resets. But I don't know how well in practice that's going to work because it's going to require perfect gear to make that happen. But yeah, so, and you don't need to masterwork Envenom. You technically want it on Call of the Wild. I just have it on Envenom because I was like, I'm not going to sit here all day. You know, I'm not trying to do a 100% min-max version. I'm just trying to get the gear somewhat good to see, okay, how far can this go with like with like decent gear, right? Not necessarily perfect. So then we have the Mjolnir ring. So because Wild Rage aspect was changed, and because we got this new key passive that essentially it gave us like pretty much a net neutral where we were getting the exact same amount of damage as we were from Bestial Rampage, but it opened up a legendary slot, and it also gave us a bunch of flexibility with what we could have on our bar. This is just such a massive buff. I can't even I can't even even saying that that it's such a massive buff having that key passive. But so now, since Wild Rage wasn't changed and it still just gives you double the bonus of your Bestial Rampage key passive, that allows us to open up a slot to run Mjolnir Ring. So while Cataclysm is active, you gain unlimited spirit and deal 100% increased damage. So we have, this also has Ranks of Endless Tempest on it. So what that's going to do is if we come over here, you can get, so right now I have 25%. That actually will go all the way up to 10 once you have an ancestral version of this. So it'll give you 50% increased duration. So right now it lasts for about 18.25 seconds. That's going to go all the way up to like 22 seconds. You can see here that the cooldown's already down to 34 seconds, right? And you can make it last 4 seconds longer. It also makes everything vulnerable whenever you have it on, which allows us to not have to run the exploit glyph, so we could run an additional glyph for more damage, which is also really good. But because you can put ranks into your ultimate skill to get CDR, you can essentially go infinite. I don't have the perfect setup yet for this to be infinite. That's why you're seeing downtime on it. But you can see here I have Cataclysm cooldown reduction. You can see here I have Cataclysm cooldown reduction. I actually think it's most beneficial to try to roll all your Masterworks on Cataclysm cooldown reduction. And then you want to roll your Masterworks onto Endless Tempest just to try to make sure you have that up there. You can't do it on your necklace because, I mean, the Envenom and Call of the Wild, it's just too much damage that you're losing to do that. But on top of that, you can come over here and you have Calamity. Extend the duration of ultimate skills by 25%. So you're getting like 75% extra ultimate duration there. And, you're going down to 34 seconds. And then the creme de la creme that kind of pushes it over the edge. I don't have it on, I don't think, right now. Because I was messing around with different Paragon boards. And that is actually Inner Beast. So you can see here. Let's see, what do I got here? Wait, 1, 2. What the? Oh my gosh. Ugh. My mouse. Please stop it, mouse. Work for like 2 seconds, please. Okay. 1, 2. Oh, actually, I think I... Oh, yeah. So, yeah, here we go. Yeah. So, I don't have it on here, but it's called Inner Beast. And with Inner Beast, what that does is whenever you shift from Claw to Pulverize, once you get to 10 stacks, it'll reduce the cooldown of your ultimate by 5 seconds. So you can actually get, if you get that to proc like one time, you pretty much have like very, very low amount of downtime. And even if you didn't have, like, let's just say I had like this masterworked as much as I needed to or something like that, this would just be like maybe a 10-second cooldown, which really isn't that bad. Like, even if it's not up all the time, like, it's still a massive damage buff and worth running. So that's the reason why we run Mjolnir Ring. It's just 100% damage buff, and it also gives you unlimited spirit, which is nice too. Then we have Ring of the Stampede, gain 1 additional companion, deal 35% damage. So that's that. And then when it comes to the rune words, you have a few different options. But what I do is cast a skill with a cooldown, evoke the Barbarians, enhance Warcry, increasing your movement speed and damage dealt. Then I also cast a non-channel core skill to build up to do Petrify. This gives us a 50% multiplicative crit damage buff. Really what I want to do is I'm going to test things out to see if like running Petrify is really 100% necessary, because there's a combo that isn't working on the PTR, but I think technically is working. I think it's a bug because I can't get it to work with anything, and it's the evoke a power from another class. So if I was to put that one with let's say like the Sorcerer Meteors, for example, right? Then once I evoke the Sorcerer Meteors, I do Sorcerer Meteors with the non-channeled skill one, right? So once I cast a non-channel skill and then the Sorcerer Meteors come down, well, now I've evoked a power of another class. That would give you 150 for your enhanced Warcry. And I think that combo will keep the Warcry up. Warcry is like a 40% damage buff, like just multiplicative damage buff. So it's probably going to be the one most people run. So I'm trying to decide still if it's better to do this versus running Petrify and this, and just kind of like timing both of these bonuses like you saw there, because it doesn't seem like Petrify necessarily makes all that much of a difference, but it does make a little bit of a difference, right? For Spirit Boons, we have Wariness, we got Avian Wrath, Pack Leader with Calamity, and then Masochistic. We do have Combo for the Storm, but the thing is the only thing that can really proc this would technically be Cataclysm, and I actually kind of like the fact that it heals us a little bit. It gives us a way to get life back. I mean, we do have Blood Howl, so I am still going to try this out a little bit more to see, because this really only has to proc a couple times, right, in order to make it worth it for, Cataclysm, right? When it comes to our Paragon, I actually am still missing some damage because I still haven't found this. I haven't found either of these. My friends have found them, but I have not found them yet. But this is actually, these are insane damage. I'll explain why in a second. Why, like, these, I'm going to swap these out to run these the moment I can. So we're using Keeper. This gives us 10% non-physical damage. Our Ravens do lightning damage now. That's why I run this. It also gives us a decent bonus to willpower and to our damage, so that's pretty cool there. And it also gives us 20% increased non-physical damage as well. So we're getting 30% multiplicative damage buff from that. Another reason why it's doing so much more damage. And then we go here, we have increase your companion's damage by 53.9%, along with 1200% companion damage and 130% damage to that passive. Then we come over here and go up, and we have glyph side. Keep in mind, I'm actually overcapped. I need to like redo this again. I'm just showing you guys the glyphs that I'm running and stuff like that. I'll have to give you guys at some point. I'll have to see about getting out like an actual like totally optimized one. But I'm using Spirit, so this is giving us 1000% crit damage along with 15% critical strike damage multiplicative buff. So that's pretty good. And then it gives us 28.5% critical strike damage. So that's pretty good. And then right here we have Shapeshifter. This gives us an additional 25% chance to crit whenever we use it. That's why we're actually at 100% crit, because if we go over to our skill tree here, I'm running Brutal Poison Creeper, which is giving us 20% crit there. Plus the Shifter is giving us like 40%. Plus we already have like a base of 65%, so we're actually at 100% crit virtually all the time whenever we are attacking, right? Oh my gosh, come on, mouse. I don't know why my mouse does that. It's very weird, right? And this gives us a little bit of a bonus, damage to poisoned enemies in our willpower. Then we go Heightened Malice for 45% multiplicative damage buff when things are poisoned, which is also why I left Poison Creeper on the bars, just to make it easier to keep that buff up. And it also gives us another cooldown to reset for our Rune Word. And then Ancestral Guidance, 30% increased damage after 5 seconds after spending 75 Spirit, which we do have this. And then we have Fanging Claw. So while Werewolf or Werebear form, close enemies take 12% increased damage from you. So increases damage while shapeshifted by 20.8%. So that's also pretty good. So that's like 32% damage. Because you have to remember is that once I start clawing, the damage will then go up, right? Because it says damage while shapeshifted. So if I put this down, right, even though I'm human form now, the moment I do this, I'm getting that damage buff, right? So that's something that you have to think about when it comes to that. But I will actually be swapping out probably this one, and then I will probably also swap out Keeper for Eliminator and Headhunter, because it gives you a bonus to all the normal nodes. This is actually insanely important, because getting a bonus to normal nodes is like, oh my god, it's such a big damage increase. Because if you're getting like 30 willpower out of every normal node that you do, on top of the fact that it just gives you 25% increased damage to elites right out the gate, and I believe that 15% goes up to 25, so you get like 40% increased damage to elites. Like, these are just insanely good, right? And this one just gives you a 10% damage buff just flat on top of 10% increased damage to elites. Like, these are probably going to be some of the highest damage glyphs that you can get, so I'm definitely going to throw these into the build whenever I find them, but I don't actually have them yet, so yeah. But anyways, guys, so now let's go over here to the skill tree. So Claw, Enhanced Claw, Wild Claw. The reason why I run Claws because that's such a high lucky hit chance. If you're in groups, Maul is fine. But the issue is that when you're not in groups, if you run Maul, you're going to notice you get way less resets than if you run Claw. I go Enhanced Claw, and then I go Wild Claw for a chance to attack twice, because I have found that the second Claw actually does proc Pack Leader, or can proc Pack Leader. Then I go Pulverize, Enhanced Pulverize, Primal to get a 20% damage reduction, which I think is really good. Keep in mind, if you want to, you can still run Maul. If you like to do Maul and Shred better, do it. Like, it's really kind of dealer's choice. You just have to do one of these two. Because you need to make sure you keep up your quick shift stuff and your wild heart hunger stuff. And to be honest with you, there's actually like even other stuff you can do as well, right? So like, as long as you have one of these things, we might actually be able to switch to maybe even something like Storm Strike if we, for example, were to get like our werewolf form bonuses from Bloodhowl or something like that, right? I mean, it'd probably make it harder to keep up the bonuses, but it's just something to think about. Like, there is going to be some experimentation that happens here. So Iron Fur, digital blat, we get 6% crit here. So this gives us 12% damage reduction. This gives us movement speed, so that's pretty cool. We have Ancestral Fortitude for 15% increased non-physical resistances. I don't know why I have points into this. I'm not running it. Sorry, that's just I must have forgot to change it. Actually, we should probably just put these right here. So since we're using Bloodhowl and it resets pretty fast whenever we're killing stuff, getting an extra 8% damage is pretty good. Or you could put it down in here. But anyways, yeah. So then I'm just going Bloodhowl, Enhanced Bloodhowl. I don't really care so much for the attack speed, but you could put this in Preserving or Innate Bloodhowl. I was testing it without using either of these, and honestly, it was coming out fine. But I can see why people would want to run Preserving or Innate. Down here, we got Wolves, Enhanced Wolves, Ferocious Wolves, just to help us keep up our Fortify. Poison Creeper, Enhanced Poison Creeper, Brutal for the crits. Call of the Wild for a 72% bonus to damage, which, keep in mind, guys, I don't even have, maxed out anything. So, there's still quite a bit of damage left on the table here to be able to do this kind of stuff, right? We have Feral Aptitude, so 100% movement speed, we get 9%, and then we can do 9% while we are healthy. 15% increased damage while in human form. So, actually, this probably should be changed. Sorry. I'll have to see what I want to change that to, but I actually don't think that's very good because we actually shift out of human form when we do Claw Pulverize. So I'll have to look and see if there's something I can do or switch that to that would be better. But yeah, actually, I probably should just do this. 1, 2, come down here, put the last point to here for now. That's what I'll do. And then we have Endless Tempest. Then we have Neurotoxin, Envenom. Another thing that I'm actually going to try out here is, let's see, I just need to put 1 point, so I'll do it from this. So this right here makes a lightning bolt happen. So if I was trying to increase my damage to bosses, a tech you can do for that is run, where is it at? Electrocution. Oh, I think it's called Electrocution. Not Fulminate, A, B, C, D, E, there, nope. There it is, yeah. So enemies damaged by your lightning bolts take 20% increased damage from you, and it increases your lightning damage by 20%. This one's actually pretty decent to run as well, but the issue is that you only get to strike one thing with the lightning bolt, so it's really the most effective on bosses. But if for some reason you were trying to do some type of boss killer build, that is a tech I think that's worth pointing out. Yeah, so then we go Neurotoxin, Envenom, Cataclysm, Primal Cataclysm, Supreme Cataclysm, so everything's vulnerable. Catastrophe, so after we use it, we have 15% increased damage for 8 seconds. And then we have Quick Shift, Heightened Senses, Natural Fortitude, and then One with Nature. But anyways, guys, that's going to do it for the build. Let me know what you think. This isn't the perfected version by any means. This is just what I'm testing, and obviously you saw, well, it can do a tier 75, which I think is pretty damn good because honestly, if you guys have played the PTR, you know T4 really is no joke. You actually have to have quite a bit of glyphs up and quite a bit of stuff just to even be able to attempt it. So thanks for watching, guys. Like, subscribe if you want to see more, and I'll see you next time. Thanks.